Welcome to Woo New, a show that explores healing and the expansion of our consciousness.
Where we explore all kinds of different energy modalities, therapies, and ideas that bring us closer to our collective liberation.
I'm Ellen, and I'm a journey work guide.
I'm Sam, and I am an integrative energy therapist.
And together, we are the co-creators of We Are All Daughters,
a quantum healing space dedicated to helping us reconnect to ourselves, our bodies, each other, and the universe.
I have been looking forward to this conversation for a really long time. We're sitting here with Daniel Shankin, who is the founder of Tam Psychedelic Integration. It's this amazing organization that I have been following for quite a while now, and they support individuals who are exploring their consciousness for spiritual growth and transformational healing. And today we're just so excited to welcome Daniel into our fold, into this little circle with Sam and I, to talk about the Tam Integration Jam, and really to talk about just what he has been doing with his organization. They hold integration circles like constantly, and they are also teaching people, coaching people how to hold their own integration circles as well. And I'm just such a fan and such a believer in what you're doing and what you're putting your energy into and what you're putting out into the world. So thank you so much for being with us today, Daniel. It's an honor.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for that kind introduction. I'm really, really happy to be here on the Woo News. I actually, when I first saw it, I read it as Wook News, which I love too, because, you know, from going to Grateful Dead shows and Fish shows and things like that, a lot of my best friends are Wooks. And so I was like, the Wooks, they needed their own podcast for so long.
That's hilarious. I love that.
I know. I love that is also part of this too. I love that you see what you need to see in these names too.
Like, oh, my people.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. I had a friend, or I have a friend, I should say. I'm closer with her younger sister, but she in high school and in college used to follow fish around. And so that was my indoctrination into fish. And I always got her hand-me-down clothes. She was like such a hippie, and I just loved her.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
much.
I always wondered where you got those from.
Yeah, that would be
You have
her.
a decent tie-dye collection.
Yeah, totally. And just like knits and, you know, just like all these like amazing things that you can't really find in the thrift stores. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin, but I feel like we always like to begin at the beginning, so to speak. You know, again, this is such an honor to be sitting here with you and talking about your work and just who you are. You're this yoga and meditation teacher, and you've been doing that for over 20 years. And I'm just so curious, like, what brought you to even create Tam Integration?
I needed an integration circle, and there wasn't one.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, what you're doing is so important.
And I, when I was having like intense experiences and things like that, and you know, I was going a little heavy. I didn't know, I was a kid and I didn't know a lot about conscious use or ceremony. You know, we sort of every once in a while we'd figure out something that was kind of like a ceremony. But there was nothing called integration. You just had to sort of like walk it off. And somebody, you know, one of the big kids, he was probably 27, you know, said, pushed Be Here Now into my hands and was like, you should read this, you'll be okay. And sure enough, like in the back of Be Here Now, you know, this is a story, if you guys don't know it, if you're the listeners, you should grab a copy. It's a story of an early explorations of LSD and how that moved this psychologist onto a spiritual path. And at the back of the book is something called Cookbook for a Sacred Life. And it's basically an integration manual.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, oh, okay, that's what you do. Like, this is what you do if you ate a whole bunch of psychedelics and you found God and you don't want to lose him again. And you do this, because that was the big thing, you know. It was like I had this powerful connection and I wanted to keep the connection. right? And I think that's what a lot of people, on one hand, integration is sometimes harm reduction. It's
Hmm.
sometimes making sense out of something weird, but then it's also like staying connected to the most amazing experience you've ever had, and that feeling that it's real and it's possible for you to be there.
When in your psychedelic journey or your journey with the medicine, when did you start doing integration? Like how many years had you been dabbling in the medicine before you actually like found this book and had this kind of profound like receiving of
Probably
wisdom?
from like 1990, 1992 to 1998.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay.
But also like I was young. There's something sometimes like psychedelics are nice to children.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I had some weird times, but I had sort of, my childhood drug use was pretty chill and easy. It was fun, and it was a lot of me and my friends sitting around laughing and saying things like, it was like, what if DOG actually spelled cat? All those kind of silly things. And then it wasn't until I started doing yoga practice, I found a good yoga teacher in my college town. And above it was a bookstore on like a book used bookstore. And I started hanging out in like the yoga book section and like the Buddhism book section, and learned about like karma and enlightenment and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like it would be cool to be a Buddha. Like it would be cool to be enlightened. I'm 18. What do I know? And then what happened is then I went and took some psychedelics, and then the Buddha showed up and was like, "Oh, you want to be a Buddha? This is all the stuff you have to deal with."
Wow.
Right. And
Wow.
showed me just like all of my crap, all of my, as they would say in the 12, so all of my character defects, right? All of my
Hmm.
fear, all of my greed, all of my selfishness, and was like, well, you should spend some time cleaning this up.
Wow.
And it
Was
was a
that one
lot.
trip? That was one trip that just like unfolded all this stuff for you?
Well, yeah, but then, it's a little bit like, but
A
what
gift that
happens
keeps
is
on giving.
you see this huge pile, but like all you can see is like the top level. It's like a game of pickup
Yeah.
sticks,
Yeah.
and this is one of the things that I talk to my clients about, my integration clients, is just like, what's the next right thing? What's the stick that's on top?
Hmm.
And let's just like, don't get ahead of yourself. Yes, you have lifetimes and lifetimes of amends to make and lifetimes of crap to clean up. Just like the first thing is fine. You've got we there's not a race, there's no time limit. Just
Right.
Hmm.
do the next thing. And so um and then of course what we know about ourselves is that we fight it a bit.
Hmm.
So there's like some of that, and then we're in denial, and there's that hero's journey part where we deny the call.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it, it's too hard, I shouldn't have to, how come nobody else has to, but they deserved it, all this kind of stuff,
Or
all these
even where do you
excuses.
start?
Right, or where do you start? And so it evolved and revealed itself over time,
Mm.
and continues to.
It's so interesting though that like all that shadowy stuff really came through after you set that intention. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's like this is what I want. This is the, so like my North Star, so to speak, and
I
like
love that. That's
the
why I
universe
love the
delivered,
magic mushrooms so much, because like they're sentient, They always bring you what you ask for and what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my teachers would say, every time I pray for patience, I get traffic.
There was a moment in time where I was like, I was very aware that the shit that I wanted to heal was going to bring more shit my way. And there was like fear. I had to almost get through that fear of like, oh God, I
Yeah.
know this is what I need. I know this is what I should be asking for, but God, man, I don't know if I'm ready to face it yet, But inevitably it always comes.
Yeah. And it just feels like, how do I say this? I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. You gotta help me pick it back up again.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So when did you actually start Mount Tam?
That's a good segue. Um, about 4.5 years ago,
Okay.
I had been, I'd become a yoga teacher, and I sort of moved from sort of like big, loud, fast yoga classes
Mm-hmm.
to increasingly small and quiet things. Vinyasa yoga to hatha to yin to meditation to coaching. Because
Mm-hmm.
coaching's fun because you can enter like a shared meditative state with people. And if you're coaching right, you can kind of move into the nooks and crannies of people's minds and emotions, and help them uh you know unblock stuff, which is like really, really cool. And so I had been doing this. I'd been doing coaching in this very kind of quiet, the school I was trained in is called presence-based coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of just psychedelic stuff was coming my way. It was, and I had been connected to various kind of psychedelic projects over the years, little bits of supporting people in their projects here and there. And the psychedelic part started taking up more and more of my coaching practice.
Oh,
And at the same time, I had heard all of a sudden integration circles were like a thing.
wow. Mm-hmm.
And I was aware that it was something that they would do a little bit of if you were on an ayahuasca retreat or something like this, but there didn't really seem to be like an open community one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
of any significance. And I wanted them. And so I started doing it. And I didn't even want to have a brand. I didn't even want to have a company. I just wanted to have a circle. And I was just going to like put an event, a Facebook event up on like my personal page. And a friend of mine said, no, you need an organization. You need like a psychedelic society or something. Nobody's going to come to just Dan's integration circle.
I mean, I would,
I
but
would have.
Well, I haven't seen you there yet. So
that's
big
true.
talk.
Were you guys,
But
or you were doing them in person, huh?
we were doing them in person.
Mm.
And what was really funny is, we'd have, 6 or 10 or 12 people. And then all of a sudden, Michael Pollan started going on a book tour.
Oh
Oh,
And
yeah.
then all of
gotcha.
a sudden, we had like 40 or 50 people in the room.
Wow.
And we would have to break up into different groups and things like that. And it was chaos. And the funny thing is I thought it was me. Like I had thought I had done something right. I was so fancy. And that lasted for like 4 to 6 months. And then there were 6 or 10 or 12 people again.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things that was really nice is that it really helped support me. And this was really something I had known from my yoga days anyway. Um, but in a capitalist society,
Mm-hmm.
more is better,
Mm-hmm.
right? 50 people, like in a capitalist society, 50 is obviously better than 10.
Right.
In an integration circle, that's not true.
Mm.
10's better than 50 in an
Yeah,
integration circle.
I believe that.
Totally.
And, and so to this day, we get 10 to 16 people in our integration circles, and some of them are new and a lot of them are people who've been coming for a long time, and
Wow.
that's great. And then what happened was we started getting too many,
Mm-hmm.
and then we opened a women's circle,
Oh,
Oh
gotcha.
wow. Yeah.
right? And so that filtered off some of the people.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that started happening was too many beginners started showing, like people who were like, what's the difference between LSD and mushrooms?
They wanted
And
the teaching. Uh-huh.
the thing is, that's actually a great question,
Yeah, it really
Mm-hmm.
is.
but it's not for integration circle.
Right.
Right.
So then we started a beginners 101 Q&A. And that's because those people need to have a place to go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuff. And I saw that you had Buki on recently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
love
And
her.
yeah, and so we sort of like, she's who we point the BIPOC community to. Like we sort of, we have like a partnership in that way. She kind of runs it under her own umbrella, but that's we see eye to eye on a lot of things, and so we point folks to her,
I love that.
and that kind of stuff.
I just love how organic it was. And I thank you. Thank you so much for saying that 10 is better than 50 in these integration circles. Um, Sam and I literally we started a membership program recently, and it's not an integration circle, but we're doing journey circles through breath work and sound and different modalities, really. And it's starting out really small. We had our first meeting yesterday, and it was only 5 of us, and it felt really good.
Yeah,
I was so excited that it was so small,
I
you know?
know. We've been talking about how special the energy is and how much more deeply you can connect with each other when it's a small group.
Yeah. And especially for integration too. I'm curious, is there a format or is there a process that you use in your integration circles that you have found to be the most beneficial for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's good to get out of your own way. It's good to get out, like deconstruct your own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was very nice. I was down in New York leading one, and a friend of mine was there, and he says one of the things that he said, it was very very sweet of him. There was something about there's obviously a well held container, but it's kind of invisible.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of free space for people to do what they need to do, and you don't interfere with that. But at the same time, it's obvious that it's an intentional thing that's being managed, and that it's being managed from a place of like service. Like it's not, there's we got to keep our own agenda out of it.
Right.
There's if I am coming to the integration circle and I'm super needy about something, or I have something to prove, then it's not going to be, that's not the way
Mm-hmm.
um, at all, right? Um, so that's just good to keep in mind, because we are recruiting from the fringes of society. Kind of less so these days, with Michael Pollan's book and Goop magazine being what it is.
Right.
Mhm.
But traditionally, the psychedelic users are a bit on the edge of, they're often extreme personalities, extreme needs, sometimes in psychological distress, sometimes, psychological emotional distress. And they're coming to a thing that nobody really knows what it is yet.
Mm.
So if we compare this to like a church service, like church services have been going on for like 2000 years.
Mhm.
People know how church, and they've been happening every Sunday all over the country. And if you're a Catholic and you go to a Catholic church anywhere in the world, it's going to be basically the same thing every Sunday forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And even like an AA meeting, they've only been happening since like the 20s or the 30s, but they happen every day all over the world. And you
Mm-hmm.
kind of know what you're going to get. Integration circles have existed for like five years. It's like, and different people do them different ways, and nobody really knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And so, what an integration circle is going to be in 10 years, like, we don't even know. 5 years, the way the space is going, we have no idea.
Mm.
And so, me acting like I know is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, so there's that. So we have this thing that nobody knows what it is. And then we have a bunch of weirdos showing up to it. Right. And so that's like kind of a recipe for chaos.
Right.
And so if I when I say I'm talking to all of the integration circle leaders in the world. Like if you're not comfortable with chaos, you're going to be uncomfortable.
Mm.
And then if you're uncomfortable, you can either breathe through it. And then if you're uncomfortable but resourced, you'll breathe through it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're uncomfortable and unresourced, or you think it has to be, or controlling or something like that, you're going to act out. Right, you're going to like
Right.
pretend like you're managing the circle, or you're running the thing, but really you're acting out of your own discomfort because things are chaotic,
Right.
and nobody needs that. It's just like, be cool, there's weirdos working their shit out.
Mm.
Like it
I
shouldn't be a
love this.
surprise that it's weird.
I love
Yeah.
this. What would you say then? Like, from what I'm hearing from you is that the let's say the most important ingredient of an integration circle is just like zero expectations and openness. Is that fair to
Yes.
say?
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of it. And that just like service orientate and a commitment to like loving kindness
Mm.
Yeah.
and like
Mm-hmm.
unconditional positive regard,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there's like intentions and commitments and expectations. Most people
Mm-hmm.
just talk about intention, right? But like it's like, oh, I want to like learn something. It's my intention that this group goes smoothly
Mm-hmm.
and that everybody gets what they need, right? That's an intention.
Right.
It's my commitment that I'm going to offer everybody unconditional positive regard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And my expectations, everybody keeps the, it's like expectations. Who knows.
Right.
And nobody's violent. It's like the bare minimum.
Man, you're seriously opening up my world right now. um, when I was just recently doing a one-on-one integration with a coach, for me, the thing that I found so healing, I guess, that's probably the best word for it. And I don't know why this is so surprising for me, but it was just her acting as a mirror, and me sharing everything that came up for me during a recent macrodose journey with a sacred mushroom, and then her just kind of like reflecting back to me what she was hearing. And I it sounds so simple. It sounds so like that's it, but it made a huge difference. It was like a complete 180 in terms of like what I got out of this last journey. And I know that I'm still integrating even now. This was like, end of March, but I had never done an integration, like an intentional integration with another person, with a coach or in a group setting before. And it changed my life really. And it changed my whole perspective on the importance of this after any kind of journey, like whether it's, plant medicine, breath work, or like literally even a trip to the other side of the world, any kind of like journey.
Yeah. It's like that's where so much of the medicine is. But when you go on journeys, I think this work is so important too because so often people go on journeys and then they come out of it and they're like, okay, my whole world just blew up, but I don't even know what happened,
Mm-hmm.
And like there's so much in that experience to work through, but not only work through, it's like once you sort of like know what happened, it's like what do you do with that? How do you see it? How do you truly integrate it? Which is why this is so powerful.
I'm curious because I've had this kind of this sort of like question I think when it comes to integration, because the way it was taught to me was that you needed to take what you received and now put it into action somehow. Like there needs to be some sort of synthesis that happens within your life, And I don't know if I believe that. Um, but I'm curious what your thoughts are, Daniel, on that. Like,
I think it depends on your definition of action.
okay.
Like, well, what would be? So sometimes we do get sort of a clear insight. Sometimes it's just like, oh, you should apologize to that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a tension between you and that person, and you should probably just say you're sorry. And then on the flip side, it might be, oh, you should tell that person how much they mean to you and that you love them. And so one of my favorite things, like this is actually what I've been just sort of like wandering around. I was like walking around town thinking about today, is that
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest skills of an integrating psychonaut is the ability to say I love you or I'm sorry without making it weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Because
love
so
that.
often, it's like, and I think that there's like a shame component a lot of the times. It's like, oh, if I made a mistake, then like, I should be ashamed because I'm really like, I'm low. Sometimes we are self-criticism. Sometimes people get like a lot of self-criticism and they're like, oh, I'm like really a terrible person. And they like bring all of that like self-criticism and shame to this person that like they basically did like often something minor to,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, it's like basically like it's the level of like, oh, hey, sorry, like I took the last piece of cake, and they're acting like, you know, and they're acting like it's huge, or it's like, oh, hey, sorry that like I didn't invite you to the thing or I didn't respond. It's like not a big deal. And
Mm.
so it's like, how do you make an amends at the right size, right?
Right.
With like no shame and clarity and just chill. Because I can't even tell you the amount of times I've apologized to people for stuff that they don't remember. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then also the same thing, like people are like embarrassed and ashamed around love.
Mm.
And there's a thing where they don't feel like they're worthy of receiving it. They don't feel like they're worthy of giving it. Right. It's like people have, it's like raise your hand if you've ever tried to show somebody love and it was like rebuffed. Right. There's even a word for it,
Mm.
rebuffed. You know?
Yeah.
And so people feel like if I show love, I'm vulnerable and I'm opening myself up to being rejected or ridiculed. And that's heartbreaking. That's a heartbreaking situation that we find ourselves culturally and personally. But it's like, how do you love somebody just like easily, you know, without it being weird? So there's those kinds of things. And it sets us off in a direction. And or maybe we have to, it's like, oh, wow, like I really do have to pay my parking tickets. I really should start that project. And then you kind of got to do that stuff. And it's really interesting when it's like, it might be like, hey, you have to start the Wook News podcast. And you're like, okay, I'm going to start the podcast. And then you're like, oh, I have no idea how to start a podcast.
Right.
And then you have to kind of learn. So there's this project, and then that then defines curriculum. And this is just coaching. This is just like basic coaching stuff. It's like, oh, I have like this big grand vision. I have a commitment to myself. And then there's a project. Kind of like if I have a commitment to show everybody who walks through my doors unconditional positive regard,
Mm.
but I have a bunch of like emotional issues that are going to keep me from doing that, then I need to work on that. So
Right.
for
Right.
me to show unconditional positive regard might require that I need to meditate more, and that I need more therapy, and then I need to do some somatic work and things like that.
Mm.
So
Is there ever a time where, like, not taking action is the best action?
most of the time, most
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
and why? There's this Chogyam Trungpa quote, and that's why we don't take. That's why we just lay there when we're high,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you take a bunch of mushrooms or a bunch of LSD or something, and then you just lay there. And
Mm.
it's not necessarily because you can't do stuff. I mean, sometimes you can't do stuff. But have you ever seen somebody like running around on a bunch of LSD?
Definitely
They're
not. Yeah.
confused and it's wild and they're making messes. And the thing is most of the time, most of the people in the world are running around wild and confused, making messes.
Mm.
And so Chogyam Trungpa, somebody said there's this Buddhist term called merit. You want to cultivate, generate merit. And a lot of people think of it almost like there's a savings bank in the sky, or if you get enough merit, you can, buy like a card that tells you you're a bodhisattva or something.
Mm.
And like it's some kind of shirt. It's a shirt you put on and then you're a Buddha. But Chogyam Trungpa said, merit is the sense of satisfaction that you gain from not complicating your own confusion. And the best way to not complicate your own confusion is to say nothing, to do nothing. So most of the time we're doing stuff from these kind of knee-jerk reactive places
Mm-hmm.
that, have no intention, they have no commitment, they have no value, they're not coming from a place of value or integrity. we're just sort of like doing stuff because we're in a state of panic that we're not going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're in a state of panic where you're not going to be okay, you probably shouldn't do stuff. And if you want to see what it looks like when people do that, you just have to go onto Twitter. Right. It's just a
It's
bunch
so
of
true.
triggered people like making like just spewing their own pain onto each other in some sort of self-righteous way.
Yeah, you're so right.
And so it's not your job to win an argument on Twitter. It's your job to regulate your own emotions and to ground your energy so that you're channeling through your nervous system the energy that is in line with your highest self.
Mm. Thank you for that. I I felt like some of the, maybe it's really just one perspective, but um, you know, the notion that you have to like now take action on whatever it is that you received, it just felt so, it felt panicky to be honest. Like it felt kind of like, well, what if I don't know? Like what if this is going to take me another year or two just to even like process and really, it's not even about making sense either. You know, it's like I think I've kind of like left that, you know, at the station too. Like I don't necessarily need to understand everything that came through. Some of it is just pure gibberish, and you know, and that's okay too. You know, and I think the pressure to have to like make sense of everything and the pressure to have to like sort it out into something definable and practical and applicable felt like it was kind of missing the mark
Yeah.
almost, you
Feels
know?
very ego driven.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
well, like not only do you not need to understand really any of it,
Mm-hmm.
most of it you can't,
Right.
right? So, and most of it is, there's a lot of just hallucination in there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can do is you can be, you know, the highest point of your journey. Like you can just be the person. I don't know if you had an experience where you felt deeply connected or deeply in loved or deeply in love or deeply wise or anything like that. Was there any sort of like peak insight?
Oh,
No, I've had
yeah.
those experiences. They're beautiful.
Yeah. This last trip, I mean, what came through, it was like several of those actually. I just felt like I was being fed wisdom. And
Yeah.
the biggest one that came through was just this idea of like expansion and contraction is what propels this universe forward. And we
Hmm.
experience that death and rebirth every single breath we take and every single moment. And there was one really profound moment where I was stepping outside to look at the stars, and it was a cloudy night. So there's just one star that was beaming down at me, and I just felt like that star was really speaking to me. And it felt like I was being activated by, you know, a galactic star family or family member or something, you know, but I felt just this wave of like unconditional love and peace, you know, kind of come over me. And I was transfixed just staring at that star, couldn't look away. And I felt like I was just receiving this energy. And then all of a sudden felt really compelled to, I was like standing outside. So I felt compelled to just sort of like almost like crunch up and just hold my hands over my heart and create the biggest fireball of love inside of me and send it out to the world. And I just felt myself, it's like it felt like just so much energy was building up inside of me. And I found myself saying, like, I'm sending this to every child out there that just doesn't experience this love. And I'm sending it to everyone who feels lonely. And then just crying for like a good 20, 30 minutes. And and feeling like it's almost like that energy was being transmuted through my heart or something, you know. It was beautiful. But yeah.
So as you tell that story, which is amazing, um, do you feel like more connected to that moment? Like, do you feel connected to that experience like a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, what happens to you when you kind of recognize that you're like deeply loved by a galactic star family?
My heart opens. Like I
Yeah.
actually feel it in my body right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, just do that
Hmm.
like every day for the rest of your life, every minute. Like, it's
Just
like, what else is there to do? Like, you'll make, like, it would be my guess, right?
mhm.
Like, what is possible for you from this place? I'll just ask you a question.
what is possible for me
Mhm.
from this place.
Yeah.
I think deeper love and compassion for not even those that I are around me, but those that I feel perhaps even opposing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it would be I mean, this is kind of my school of integration is just like if we are constantly, I mean, we all know the word conditioned. So
Mm-hmm.
we're like psychologically conditioned to look out for number one and, obey authority and all that kind of stuff. But it also has a somatic component where it literally like shapes us. Like it shapes the way we hold tension. It shapes the way our nervous system responds to things. It shapes the way we hold ourselves. Right. And so then
Mm-hmm.
we end up in these bodies that are kind of like twisted by late stage capitalism, patriarchy, like weird religious ideas, weird political ideas, all this kind of stuff, family members that weren't really there for us the way they could have been. Right. And so that creates like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then what just happened is like you connected us into like the universal love of a galactic star family. And I felt it too.
Mm.
Right. It changed the way I was sitting.
Wow.
Like I moved in my seat a little bit. Right.
Mm.
And so what we get to do is like hold that presence, like that quality, and then reshape ourselves from the inside out.
Mm.
Right. And then the default mode network that everybody is so fond of talking about. It's like, oh, I want to like kill my ego and like eradicate my default mode network. No, just set your default mode network to galactic love
Mm.
and compassion and see what happens. Just reorient your nervous system to move love for children through it. Just like open the channels of your synapses so that the reaction is to naturally like love the most vulnerable among us.
Mm.
And then if you want to do a retreat center or whatever, it's like, who cares?
Right, right.
It's almost like in training your energetic body and your energetic anatomy to just rest at that frequency all the time.
Mm.
Like each time you connect with it, that connection gets stronger, and it gets, you know, it's easier to do the more frequently you do it, and then you just expand into that space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're reminding me of this. We had this conversation a little while ago about like just the things that we practice being neural pathways in themselves. And the more that we connect to these neural pathways, the more deeply grooved they are, just kind of like any neural pathway within our brain or within our bodies. You're making me remember that. And yeah, it's like even having you recall that, having you, asking me to recall that, like there was a moment just now where I just like literally felt the tears coming through and just a huge heart cracking open. And I don't think I realized that that is the medicine. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
not the mushroom necessarily. The mushroom is the guide and the way through and the door opener, but that moment and of what I experience is the medicine. And I can carry that within my medicine cabinet all the time and like basically bring it out whenever I need to, whenever I feel shut down or whenever I feel my heart's closed up. That becomes the vehicle.
That's exactly right.
Wow. You're blowing my mind.
I mean, what did you think you were integrating?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that's why I'm like, I think there's been so much focus placed on the medicine, quote unquote, as in the psychedelic or the entheogen. There's so much like emphasis and importance placed on that. And it's not to say that it's not important, but I think the experience itself and just yeah, like all of this, what you bring back with you, even if you don't understand it, but it really is a feeling. Like I know I just told you a story, but the story is more a doorway into the feeling that I'm holding, that frequency within my body.
Right. And even I would even and check in and tell me if this is true.
Mm.
It's a doorway to not only to a feeling, but it's a doorway to a more essential part of who you actually are.
Yeah. 100%.
And
Oh.
this is the nothing can actually give you who you are deep down,
Mm-hmm.
but it can, it's a pretty good excavator. Mushrooms pretty good guide, excavator, stairway to heaven, whatever.
Yeah,
But
they really are. I'm
and
curious.
there is one more thing.
Yeah.
I actually have two more things.
Okay.
Do you want me to talk about the they're both problems, right? They're both
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote problems. And one is that we're living in a kind of a work ethic driven society, and we're working in a medicalized society.
Mm-hmm.
And so very often people are very pointed at what's wrong and what needs to be fixed. And I need
Right.
to work on things and fix things. And so, I mean, I love some good shadow work. I'll integrate parts of my shadow too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
parts of me that I haven't been loving, parts of me that I haven't accepted. I'm happy to do all that stuff, and that kind of stuff needs to happen. But what ends up happening is people are like fixating on, and that it's interesting that the word fixate has fix in it. They're kind
Mm.
of fixated on like the public works project of their life. Like they always have to be like doing something or tuning something up. It's like not everybody just kind of wants to rest in the type of communion that you're describing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's a thing. The other thing is that it's so you do the work, and then you have this experience of communion, and then you decide that, okay, I'm going to make this part of my practice so that that love flows through me more and more of the time and greater quantities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like real work, right? That's like a spiritual path for, you can take that all the way home for life, right? If you did
Mm-hmm.
nothing else, in my
It's a
humble
lot,
opinion.
yeah.
um And so people are also kind of codependent and don't necessarily want to do their own work. And so what you see is that people have a psychedelic experience and they touch something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come down and they're like, well, that was amazing. Everybody needs to do drugs,
Right.
drugs for everybody. Right. And they're busy just spreading the gospel of drugs and mushrooms, what sacred medicine, whatever, instead of cultivating themselves so they can spread the sacred medicine of their own tender heart.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is powerful. Yeah. Oh my God, you're so right. I think we get so caught up sometimes in looking at everything outside of us. It's still an external thing, you know? Oh my God. Sam and I literally were just talking about this yesterday, of like the safe space that you can find is actually within you and it's not
Yeah.
necessarily outside of you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, thank you for that. That's really powerful.
I have a question. Like you've been working so deeply with integration and with psychedelics for so long. Like how often do you how often do you find yourself called to journey yourself?
Mm.
I hesitate to answer because I don't want people to decide what to do based on what I do.
Well,
Mm.
that's fair.
Um, Less than when I was younger,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
um, but some.
That's a good answer. Can we talk about your Mount Tam integration jam?
Oh yeah, we should have done this right off the bat. Who knows who's going to listen for the whole hour?
Well, we can also move this over to the beginning too, but I actually think that what we just discussed was so important and
Yeah. So
so
relevant.
Yeah, yeah, it's just it's so powerful that it really sets up this integration jam so nicely. So just tell us about it. Like what is happening, and what was the intention behind this event?
So I used to do podcasts, and one of the things that I really liked about podcasts was that I would have an excuse to talk to people who were like brilliant that I wanted to talk to, and I wanted to ask them questions and things like that. And it provided me with like a certain kind of access to folks so that
Mm-hmm.
I could learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then sort of the technology came around where I could kind of put together, there was a technology for podcasts, and that was super cool. But then I found a piece of software that let me do conferences. And I was like, cool, I'll just put a bunch of podcasts all together. I'll just jam these all into like one weekend, and it'll be a good chance for like my students and my clients to round out their education, because we don't always get a chance to do a lot of education in a coaching session. Um, and yeah, and then also, in all honesty, we do a lot of free integration circles. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's nice to have an event or two that generates some revenue so that I can pay
Mm-hmm.
some people.
Yeah.
So that's cool because we are a community grassroots organization. It should go without saying, but in today's world, not so much. Is that like we don't have VC funding?
Right.
Like
Right.
we're not venture
Yeah.
capitalist based and things like that. We don't have any foundation sponsoring us and things like that. So it's nice to um, be able to pay people who are doing things that are a labor of love,
Mm.
and kind of an increasing amount. There's the graphics designers and writers and things like that, that we can um, give. Everybody's an independent contractor, but it's just nice to like support the community and things like that.
Right.
um, and so there's a lot of aspects. It's like me wanting to have the knowledge for me, it's me
Mm-hmm.
wanting to have the knowledge for the people, my students, my clients. And it's nice, Tam integration should have a good impact. Like we want to be able to reach people all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
which is why we started doing online conferences before the pandemic.
Oh, nice.
Because one of the things that I found is that I had friends and they were younger, they weren't married, they didn't have a kid, and they're like, oh, I'm going to like the psychedelic conference in Acapulco, and then I'm going to the one in Prague, and then I'm going to the one in California. And I couldn't go to all of them. And
Mm.
so I figured to myself that if I couldn't go to all of them, other people really couldn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so those people should still have something that approximates a psychedelic conference feel, um, from the comfort of their own home. And so that is what it is. And then also one of the things that I noticed about conferences is that a lot of the time, and this is changing, of course, they are focused on like they were used to be really research heavy, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just a bunch of researchers, and then they'd
Mm-hmm.
stick like one artist in there for flavor.
Right.
And so I didn't I can only personally, I can only endure so much research. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just not a scientist. Um,
Yeah.
and I would end up, hanging out in the hallways, and that was fun, but it wasn't the stuff I needed to hear. And then, then there's a lot of like policy, and I
Mm.
can only endure so much policy. I like policy. I think it's important. I really appreciate all the decrim people and all the legalization people. I think that's great stuff. Um, and I just wanted to talk to people who are like in the trenches working with people in psychedelics,
Mm.
that we're not necessarily even like, above ground. We have a mixture of people. Like we have people at the conference who are working on like the MAPS clinical trials.
Oh, cool.
We have people who have taken MAPS trainings and, ketamine therapists. And we also have people who have been like working with peyote, for
Mm.
30 years, and people who work in, Native American, not the Native American church, but, Native churches and, indigenous traditions. And a variety of stuff. We've got the folks from Dance Safe who help people do pill testing at festivals, talking about
Amazing.
harm reduction, in the middle of a fentanyl epidemic.
Yeah.
If you're listening to me, I just want you to know, like, I don't want you to die. I want you to
Right.
stay alive. I want you to test your drugs. I want you to be safe, and I want you to like stay alive. And it shouldn't, it's again, that's not something I should have to say, but that's where we are in the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And it's heartbreaking every
Yeah.
time somebody dies because of the drug. I blame the drug war.
Yeah.
Like, if this stuff, if everybody knew where they could get clean MDMA, nobody would die from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and so there's that. And then we've got a panel of moms talking about the divine feminine and talking about motherhood and talking about the challenges of motherhood and what is it like to be a psychedelic parent and that kind of stuff. How
That's
do
so
women?
important.
That's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I love this. Yeah. I mean, I'm like looking at your topics right now and like everything
What sticks
speaks to
out?
me. Spiritual emergency actually sticks out to me.
Yeah, that was the
Mm.
first one that I caught too. I was like, oof.
Yeah. I mean, it's first on the list too, but like that really like stopped me. I'm like, ooh, spiritual emergency. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's sort of like you're saying, is people do these substances, they take this medicine, these sacraments, and their sense of self like breaks down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They freak out. They don't know what's real. They don't know if they're real. They don't know if their friends are real, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um they're not sure if everything is an archetype. It's like they don't know if things are emanations of their own mind or if it's like all of this kind of stuff. And people end up terrified or elated. I don't know if you've ever met somebody who's taken psychedelics until they realize that they were God and they were enlightened and nobody else was, and they just are a nuisance to everybody who cares about them
Oh
because
my
it's like
God.
super annoying. um, and that kind of thing. And I don't mean to make light of it, but it happened to me once many years ago. And I also had a roommate once. I've had a lot of friends who have wrestled with that kind of thing. And so it's like, how do you care for somebody who needs care? And how do we set up frameworks for understanding the kooky experiences that can happen?
Mm-hmm. Out of total sheer morbid curiosity, what medicine were you taking at that time and how much?
Is LSD?
Uh-huh.
Lots.
Okay.
For an extended period of time.
Okay. I'm always so curious because I mean I've my threshold. I've only ventured as far as like 3 grams of the sacred mushroom, and that's honestly like the medicine that just keeps on calling to me. There was a moment where ayahuasca was really calling to me, and I just like I don't know. I don't hear her voice anymore, but the mushroom just constantly. It's just like we are here for you. We're here for you. So
Mm,
I've just been really focused on them. Um, and I definitely experienced what you would probably consider an ego death and just sort of this whole questioning of like, I think what people would call like the matrix and all that. And there's still moments now where I'm just like, I kind of sit, and I sort of observe like I live essentially in kind of like a forested area and I just stare at everything going, I feel so lucky. I feel so lucky to be able to experience this like right now and be in my body and like smell these trees and stuff. But
Where do you
I
live?
also I live in Idlewild. It's a
I don't
little
know where
mountain
that is.
town. It's like it hugs this, or actually it's in the San Jacinto Mountains that just kind of hug Palm Springs and Palm
Okay.
Desert, kind of
Cool.
east, 2 hours east of LA. But it's beautiful. It's like a pine forest. But there's definitely moments where I feel kind of like it's like my not my grasp on reality, but just I definitely question like the reality that I'm in, and
oh my
are
gosh.
we all in a simulation? That whole thing
Yeah.
kind of comes through a
Like
lot.
after I had this trip once where I was like my consciousness was fully outside my body the entire time, and I was like watching myself, and I was like, oh my god, like everything is, I felt like I was watching like a play of my life. I was like, nothing is real. And I still think about that all the time.
Yeah.
But not in a way that like messes me up, but I could see how it could totally mess somebody up. But like I still think about it and I'm like, oh, it's so interesting, this like concept of like the matrix and like then moving into these multi-dimensional spaces afterwards. There was a
Yeah.
very specific message that came with mine that I integrated probably like 2 or 3 weeks later. But yeah, that experience alone is like, it stays with you.
Yeah. And there's something really interesting about making your way through it.
Yeah.
Like there's an interesting sort of warrior's resilience in some way, to spiral through something difficult and to be on the other side, and then, oh, other things aren't maybe quite as worrisome having been through that.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like I could talk to you forever, and I honestly I'm like sold on doing your integration coaching program because I want to learn more from you. I just feel like what you've put together with Mount Tam is just so needed. And I think as both Sam and I also continue to, step into service, we both feel very much that we are like stewards of the sacred mushroom, and that's kind of our calling for this life. And wasn't immediately clear until like I would say like the last year or two that is kind of what both of us are being called to. And so I'm really excited to just continue to learn from you, and just so grateful that you're sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and your energy with us today.
Yeah, thank you
Well, I mean,
so
this has
much.
been super fun. I mean, sometimes I go into podcasts and I sound like a dummy, and I feel like I feel like we got some good stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh
No,
my God, we could
totally.
talk about this we could go on all day. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just scratched the tip of the iceberg here.
I
Yeah, I
know.
kind of want to put this podcast in. I have a little mini course on my website on how to create your own integration circles. And
Oh,
like, I want to
beautiful.
put this podcast like in that course,
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be
please
because the
do.
awesome.
stuff we said is stuff people need to hear about that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, we would be so honored.
Yes.
Um, and seriously cannot wait for the Mount Tam Integration Jam. I'm signing up.
I know,
So
me
I
too. I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
so for people listening, I just put a coupon code WOO, um,
Amazing. Okay.
WOO, and they'll get 10% off.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
incredible. Thank you so
It
much.
was really hard for me to not make it Wook. You know,
You
now,
should. That would have been awesome.
well, what the heck? Now there's one in there that's Wook too. So so it's either Woo or Wook. You just save 10%.
We'll put that in the show
Amazing.
notes. We'll put both of
And
them in the
then
show
will you
notes.
also put in the show notes the class, the Sitting for Psychonauts class?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Sitting for Psychonauts. I want to put both of them, like the coaching as well. Is that two separate things?
Oh, wait. So there is like a coaching intensive I'm doing as part of the jam.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I have this 4-week class that I'm doing in June. It's 4 Tuesdays, and it's called Sitting for Psychonauts. And it's this model for moving through psychedelic space in like a kind of super conscious way.
Oh, beautiful. So the
That's what I thought you were talking about.
psychedelic integration coaching is a different thing.
Might be.
Okay.
Maybe
I'll
outside the podcast, I'll answer any of your
Yeah,
questions. Flush it
yeah.
all out.
Yeah, totally. Okay, but yeah, I'm definitely down for that too. Oh, amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely include that in the show notes too. And you're saying that starts in June?
That starts in June. And I've run it,
June.
I've run it about 10 times and had people from, I think 6 continents
Oh,
have taken
rad.
it. Yeah, I had a
Amazing.
woman from Swaziland take it. I
Wow.
had there was an American kid in India taking a yoga teacher training, and he would call in,
That's
Oh,
awesome.
like,
wow.
so I think we hit all the continents. I'm pretty sure we had an Australian at some point. lots of Europeans, lots of North and South Americans.
So cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daniel. This has just been such an amazing hour.
I can't wait to dive into all the things, and I'm so excited for the integration jams. Like there's so much to learn, and it's like never ending. It's awesome.
Yeah,
yes.
Truly. We are so excited to announce our new community membership program, Get Lit, on Patreon. We believe healing is about the journey back home to ourselves. And as we bravely journey into quantum spaces, we slough off the layers of conditioned beliefs and defensive armor that keeps us dim and dull, small and silent, fearfully hiding our true light and voice. In these journeys, we liberate ourselves from the stories that limit us. As we begin to face and transmute our traumas and fears, we begin to live and create from a space of love. We begin to shine brighter, and our growing luminosity invites others to shine brighter too. We offer 5 monthly journey circles into these quantum spaces through breath, imagination, sound, and energy healing. We're also stewards of entheogenic medicines, the sacred mushroom and cannabis sativa, and we welcome their guiding presence in our journey circles as they are calling to each of us individually. We have 6 membership tiers to serve different psychonautical explorers at various levels and investments of time and energy. This journey home is meant to be shared with one another, and we're so honored to create and hold this safe, inclusive space for all of us to walk bravely into the unknown together. Let's get lit. Find us now on Patreon. Music for Woo New is composed by Adam Miller.